Welcome back. Let's now have a look at how to get the file name alongside each of the records here so that we know which record came from which file. So in order to get that serverless equals gives file metadata function called file name. So let me show you how to use that. To use that function, you call the function on the table or the alias here itself. So that would be a result or dot. And then you just say file name and you can just alias that to anything. I'm going to just do alias to file underscore name and then I'm going to put the result dot start as well. So you'll see the top 100 records. So let me run this through. And as you can see here, you see the first column as the file name. As you can see, this first record has come from Green Data 2020-02. So which from February? And let me scroll down. I think everything here will be 2020-02. We are only selecting the top 100 records. So let's change the query slightly so that we can see how many records are in each of the files. So I'm going to copy and paste it again and then make the changes. So we need to remove the top 100. And then I'm going to say instead of start, I'm going to do a count and I'm going to call this as record count. And we're going to do a group by on the file name so that it's grouped by the file name and you'll see how many records are in each of the file. And let's do an order by as well. So the order by the data will be sorted in the ascending order as well. So let me run this through and we should see each of the file names listed alongside the account. So as you can see, the January file had 447,000 records. And similarly, if you go down and actually you get to see all of the files, including 2020 and 2021, the 2021 July had 83,691. The record comes out. I do think that's because of COVID. So COVID stuck in March 2020. And since then, the trips are going down in New York. Also, you can use the file name function to target certain partitions of the data. So, for example, if you wanted to get data from only, say, January 2020 and January 2021, you can restrict the data to those two file names. I'll show you how that's done. All you have to do is you have to specify the file name in the where clause. So it's going to be a where result.filename and its equals are in because I'm going to have multiple files I'm going to specify in and it'll be two files is what I'm looking at. I'm going to get the green date 2020-01 and 2021-01. So let me specify both of them here and that will be 2021 and let me run that through. And if you do that, you'll only see the two files, the output from the two files. So you've got the 2020-01, which has got 447,000 records. In 2021, it's got 76,000 records. So that's how you can use it in the backlogs because in the past we have specified them in the bulk operator, but you can do that in the where clause if that looks simpler for you. Now that we've talked about the file name function, let's talk about the file path function. So the file path function is slightly different to file name. It will contain the file name, but it'll also contain the folder names. For example, if you're reading data from 2020 January, you're going to have the file path US trip data green CSV year equals 2020 month equals 01, and then you will have the full file name as well. So let's see that in action. I'm going to just copy this and then make the changes. So let's introduce the file path into this select. I'm going to just copy that and then make the change so it's going to be file path instead of file name. And I'm going to call that as file path as well. And we want to use the file path in the group by as well as the order by as well. So let me do that. Let's now run this query and have a look at the data. As you can see here, instead of just the file names here, what you got in the file path is you've got the entire folder path, that is you a trip data green CSV / year 2020, month 01, and then the full file name. Because we've used that data source, our folder path only starts from here. But if you had used the ADFSS for the protocol, the HTTPS protocol, you will see the full path with the URL as well. The file path function is slightly more sophisticated. It can take in a parameter, and the parameter is a numeric value. Based on the numeric value, it will return the position of the wildcard character. For example, if you want to get the year from this file name, then you can send in a parameter of 1 and it'll return the year, or you can send in 2. That will be the month, and the 3 will be the file name. So let's try that. Now I'm going to send in 1, and now we know it's not a file path. It's the year. I'm going to call that as a year, and I'm good. I'm also going to send in 2, which will be the month. And let's not worry about the file name because we already have the file name. And now I'm going to use these in the wild in the group as well. So let's run that through and then I'll explain that. Well, as you can see here in the output, what's happened is actually we've got the 2020 as the year. Here in 01 is the month, and then you've got the rate counts. That's really useful. I'll show you how. So, for example, if you wanted to get the trip counts for each of the year and the months, you don't have to worry about this file name. Let's take that out and leave the year, month, and recount, and let's take out the where clause. And if you just run this country, it's going to give you for each of the month how many trips were made. So that's quite easy to report on now. So you've got the year, month, and then the record count. That's quite handy. And also similar to the file name function. You can use the file path function in the where clause. Let me show you how that's done. I'm going to simply copy this and then make the changes. So let's say actually we want to get the data from 2020, June, July, and August. All you have to do is simply specify in the where clause the file path 1 equals 2020. And the file path 2, and we'll have to specify 06 for June, 07 for July, and 08 for August. And if we run this through now, it's going to get the data 1 from June, July, and August. So you've got the data related to June, July, and August here, and the record counts. That's really useful. But you might be wondering why we need to specify the file path or the file name in the where clause or even in the bulk operator. Can we not read all of the data from the folder and then do a where clause on that trip? Start date or end date or something like that? You can do that, but that would be really expensive on big data projects. So in big data projects, the data has been partitioned for a reason. That is, to be able to get to the data as efficiently as possible. So if you specify the entire folder in the bulk operator and not have a where clause like this, it's going to get all of the data from that folder and then do the filter using the trip start date or whatever columns you've specified. But by doing one of these things, either to specify your file names in the bulk operator or using a where clause like this, which is even easier, you're going to be targeting only those partitions. So there are 2 advantages to that. One is performance. You're going to get to the data quickly. And secondly, you're going to read only the small amount of data or the required amount of data. You're not going to be reading all of the data. So that means you're saving on cost. Let me demonstrate that. Let's have a look at the messages and see how much data we have scanned. In this case, we can 40 megabytes. So that is to get to the data for the 3 of the month. But if we just comment out these 2 lines, it's going to get to all of the data. Let me do that. And that's all of a sudden read 413 megabytes. That's about 10 times more data being read. So you're going to be paying for that 10 times more data, as well as your queries are going to be slower. So whenever it is possible to specify the partitions and target one little partitions, when you're working with big data, you don't want to be reading all of the data and then doing a further filter up. That makes sense. And that's the end of this session. I'll see you in the next one.